Wednesday, Nova Scotia's EMO asked to use the hall as a registration centre for residents of Portapique who had fled their homes. An RCMP officer was posted here in a cruiser. By this time, police were on the hunt for the shooter, who they knew was impersonating a police officer. At 10:30 a.m., 2 RCMP officers fired multiple shots outside the hall. Sources have told CTV News the officers thought they were firing at the suspect when it was in fact a fellow Mountie.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Why don't you get yourself some turned-down collars, Poirot? They're much more the thing, you know.
The thing, Hastings? Do you think Poirot concerns himself with mere thingness?
No. No, I see that.
The turned-down collar is the first symptom of decay of the grey cells.
You know, I just think if people keep pushing, I can't, first of all, thank enough all of the hard work. There's 3 fellow YouTubers who are working very, very hard with me on this one. Rage in the Cage, Steve LTT, and Just My Stupid Opinion. Just plugging them, sorry. But they are fantastic guys, really been busting their humps here. And, you know, stepping up to the plate, because there's a certain amount of risk saying certain things. And also, likewise, all of the people who are volunteering information and time, which is, like I said, over on the Discord or sending me anonymously information, it is fantastic.
All right. More Lisa 2.0. How's it going, Steve?
Good, you, man?
Yeah, good. We've got Green Bastard. How you doing, sir? Dave back for round 2. Centra, also Green Bastard was in. How you doing, Centra? Mark Evans.
There's a bath in here.
Sorry?
There's a bath in here.
There is a bath in here?
Yeah.
Let's
hope it's a good bath, not the wrong bath.
You never can tell. Maybe the bath's name is actually Amanda. Oh dear, and Mark. So it's been a busy day. In fact, I hear that there may be something else coming. Possibly over on the McLean's end. So I don't know. Maybe it'll just be like Lisa OD. But there'll be more on her coming down the pike in the month. So
yeah,
keep your ears peeled on that one.
I have a feeling we'll be talking about her a bit. Yes.
Please feel free to, I don't usually say anything. Chiang, Loretta, Sis. Please feel free to share this around. Yeah, I don't usually like to ask, but yeah, the first video did kind of well. So
yeah,
good stuff. People are interested.
Well, this is quite the twist, right? That would pique a lot of people's interest.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. I know you and I were talking about that just for a brief moment there before the show.
Yeah.
Will, how's it going? Mark. Leah. Is it Lay or Leah?
Or Leah.
Leah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. I can't pronounce a name, man.
Yeah.
You know me.
It's probably Leah. Just
Leah?
guessing. Yeah.
I don't know. She's gonna correct me, right?
Green Bastard said it. Yeah, it's an eye opener. Yeah, for sure.
Eye opener. Can people hear Steve okay, or is it just me? Is he a bit quiet?
Yeah, I could. Oh, I know why.
There we go.
That would be the problem.
Okay, and we will also be having probably we'll have Nova Scotia guy joining us also for this at some point, but he sounded like he's having a good time, so he was contemplating whether to do that. Is she in jail? To the best of my knowledge, no. I mean, those were not big charges, so
if somebody has lots of time and nothing to do, I mean, parking close to a few places is getting pictures, verifying things.
I don't know.
Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm kind of excited about this article because I've been waiting for it for a long time and still haven't read it. So I don't know. I know everybody else has been asking about it for a long time. And I guess Frank was they're like, let's run it tonight. So there we go. All right. Should we get to I guess I have to do that, don't I? The sharing screen stuff.
Yeah, you got to drive.
Uh-oh. That's never a good thing. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you surprised about the charges? Are you surprised about the charges?
Yes and no. If that makes any sense. Yes, because I feel like it just kind of came out of the blue, completely random, without any inkling at all that they were even really investigating much into her. I suppose that's what they would do if they were investigating into her, but that's not the way I thought they were going to go with this. I thought it was going to go a little bit differently. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the strategy. I think we can talk about some of that when we get through this article here.
Yeah.
Frank and Portapic, do you want to read or you want me to read?
No, go for it.
Oh, no. That's never a good thing. Okay. By Paul Palango. That Lisa Banfield has been charged along with her brother James for providing ammunition to Gabriel Wortman that he used in his murderous rampage last April comes as both a relief to those who didn't believe her story and a nightmare to the journalists across Canada who have been protecting her from public scrutiny. Win!
Oh, isn't irony a son of a bitch?
Oh my. Oh, what a boom way to start that. A nightmare. Yes, the PR machine must just be going crazy.
Somebody probably got fired. Let's be honest. You couldn't fucking figure that out after 7 months?
Somebody was saying, what are they going to do with the 13 hours podcast?
They're going to have to do a rewrite.
I think the 13 hours will be coming out next year.
Maybe it'll be called 14 hours because they'll add an hour in for some editing. They've got a lot of editors. So.
Well, that was, I will say, some pretty snappy production qualities. Definitely not Seamus style. So
yeah.
On Friday, December 4th, Frank broke the news that Lisa, her brother, and Brian Brewster of Sackville, Brian Brewster, of course, is the brother-in-law or former, it could be former brother-in-law, but definitely married into the Banfield family, at least at one point, had all been charged under Section 101 of the Criminal Code for the crime alleged to have taken place in the month leading up to the massacre, according to a statement from RCMP Superintendent Darren Campbell. Quote, based on the investigation to date, the three charged had no prior knowledge of the gunman's actions. What follows is the final version of the story that was written over the past 2 months, which a number of media outlets across Canada refused to publish.
Mm-hmm.
Refused to publish. I can't highlight on this thing, so.
Yeah, we've been saying what's like literally for at least 4, 5, 6 months that they have all of this information.
I want to get it like really big, but then I won't. Yeah, nobody was wanting to take this article at all. No one. Looney Tunes over there.
Mm-hmm.
Which a number of media outlets across Canada refused to publish, mainly because they had concluded without evidence that Banfield was a victim and not complicit in any way. On the night of April 18th, Lisa Banfield, the longtime common law wife of killer Gabriel Wortman, was supposedly beaten by Wortman, restrained, and escaped from him, hiding in the woods around Portapique Beach for about 8 hours with a coat, no coat, coat. Beth.
Starting to wonder if maybe she beat him.
Something's going on.
That'd be quite the fetish.
Yes.
In an RCMP uniform, she's just sitting there beating him.
I wonder if we're going to get into that stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
This is G-rated over here, man. In the more than 7 months since the murder of 23 people in Nova Scotia by Wortman, the RCMP and Crown have provided little, if any, evidence about when Banfield escaped or where she might have actually been. Wortman was eventually shot and killed by an RCMP dog handler. Okay, so we have confirmation there of who. All right. On the morning of Sunday, April 19th, at least publicly, when the two accidentally came together at a gas station in Enfield, one exit north of Halifax Airport, Highway 102. Of course, Highway 102 north was closed. Very odd maneuver, I found.
Yeah.
And of course, what was it? Miraculous.
Well, you can get a good view of the southbound if you're parked on the northbound, right? So you could probably get like pictures and stuff.
Why the RCMP had northbound coming out of Halifax closed?
So so it's safe for photographers to stand there and get pictures. And you gotta make it safe for the photographers.
I don't think. Yeah, well, they were supposed to come in later, right? I think maybe that was the point.
Yeah, they messed that part up. Surprise, surprise! The RCMP messed some stuff up.
Well, just like that big, gigantic surprise that he's at the gas station, like, oh, we're going to get gas at the same time. Look, he pulled up right beside us.
Yeah, it took you 13 hours to pull up beside him.
Because I would pull up right beside a police car.
It's too bad he didn't stop for gas sooner.
Unmarked.
Maybe they would have caught him.
I don't know. Just needed that gas. A reconstruction of events based on the documents in the public record, sites, visits, and interviews with people close to the situation raises questions about the official narrative of the story. It's like the rest of the story with, what was it, Paul? Remember that guy? Paul something or other? The unredacted documents were made available to the media following a court challenge by media outlets. Well, if they call that unredacted, like the Sharpie was in full effect, then the whiteout. The documents were used as information to obtain search warrants. The documents contain only a selected summary of interviews and statements to and by the police. No full interviews or statements have been released to date. I think that's a very important point. Angela summed up all of those statements. So it's not the statement from the actual person. It goes through Angela, who then, through the officer, who then goes to Angela. So it's getting summed up like a few times.
Yeah.
The widely accepted original narrative is that Wortman and Banfield were drinking and participating in a virtual party on FaceTime with friends in the United States. The party was at Wortman's warehouse, 136 Orchard Beach Road. Something was said that set Wortman off, perhaps that Banfield was going to leave him after almost 20 years together. The story went something like this. Banfield went home to the cottage at 200 Portapique Beach Road and to bed around 9 p.m. She was awakened shortly afterward, and Wortman beat her, handcuffed her in the back of one of his decommissioned police cars, and began his rampage of death and fire. It began with him burning down his own cottage and warehouse. She escaped and hid in the nearby woods for as long as 8 hours in a bitterly cold night. She came out of the woods at 6:30 and went to the house of Leon Jowdry. police were called, and that is when the RCMP said they first found out about Wortman was in a replica RCMP cruiser. I'm smelling BS. There we go. More BS coming.
Who wrote this?
Paul. No, he's just recounting their story.
Oh, okay.
Their narrative.
Okay.
The recently unredacted documents put Banfield at the scene when Wortman set his own properties on fire. Furthermore, there is no mention of restraints such as handcuffs. There is also no detailed timeline about what took place. Quote, Gabriel Wortman told her to be careful. This is a key point in those warrants. Slipping in gas. No, because that's what you do. Oh, here we go. We're just going to add in you. Hold on one moment. Hello, Nova Scotia guy. Are you there?
Howdy, everybody.
Cheers.
Hello.
All right, well, we're partway through the
Cheers
article.
to you, Steve.
Good to see you, buddy.
Let's keep it going for now.
Should we do like a pass around readathon?
No, you're a good narrator.
No, I don't think so.
No, you're great. You narrate it perfectly. You accentuate things just right. It's perfect.
Okay, Gabriel Wortman told her to be careful. The new information in the unredacted documents clearly places Banfield at the scene in the cottage when Wortman began to spread gasoline on the floors, sometime around or shortly after 9 p.m. At one point, she told the police officer that Wortman warned her, quote, the floor is very wet from gas being poured on it, and Gabriel told her to be careful. As they exited from the cottage, Gabriel told her to look back, and she could see that he had started it on fire, but could not recall him seeing him with matches or see him light the fire. At other points, Banfield commented that she, quote, she realized, quote, things were serious as Gabriel was proud of the cottage and the warehouse, and he was now burning the cottage. She recounted to police that Wortman had told her, quote, I'm done. It's too late, Lisa. I'm done. This is I know somebody is out there for sure going on about this line because they love that part. Again, there is no specific timeline or context for these statements. It was after the warehouse fire was started that Banfield said she escaped from Wortman and ran into the woods. She said she left her jacket behind, hoping that police might find it. Did the police find it? And where?
And neither did I.
Yeah.
I looked extensively for that jacket. And
Yeah.
no dice.
Well, because that was added later in the story, I think. That warrant was sworn out with me March 5th. There's a much later warrant that the jacket appeared, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It was pitch dark and near freezing. She was only wearing light clothing. She had no phone, flashlight, shoes, socks, or mitts.
What?
Sorry?
Pardon?
Should I repeat that again?
She had no phone?
No phone, flashlight, shoes, socks, or mitts.
Didn't they originally say something about getting the photo of the police car from her phone?
Well, that was originally what they kicked about. Well, the important information, wasn't it?
See my face?
Sorry?
It might look like I'm taking a poop right now, but it's really like, what? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It must be the toque.
It must be. Proceed.
The toque is adding to it.
Definitely the two, I think.
That toque is pretty classic. It was pitch dark and near freezing. Okay, she was wearing only light clothing. She had no phone, flashlight, socks, shoes, socks, or mitts. How did she stay warm until 6:30 in the morning? I'm hearing Leon. I'm hearing Leon. The unredacted documents reveal that the RCMP was somewhat suspicious of her story. Banfield was questioned at least twice by RCMP officers. The first time Banfield was interviewed by the police was some point on April 19th by Constable Terry Brown. It is not known where the interview took place. It is only known that Banfield was taken to hospital that day, and legal sources familiar with the matter say at some point during the day sought to hire a Toronto lawyer. No. Oh.
Mr.
Okay.
Kevin.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know. I'm. This is all surprises to me, but that lawyer Kevin Paul von Bargen of Concord, Ontario, was a friend of Wortman and Banfield. Multiple sources say one provided von Bargen's private cell number. After speaking with Banfield, von Bargen contacted lawyers in Halifax seeking local representation for the woman. Numerous attempts to reach von Bargen have proven unsuccessful. An email address could not be readily found. His telephone goes directly to an answering machine, which does not take messages. When interviewed by Constable Brown, Banfield appeared to lay out the series of events that deadly weekend this spring, which began with drinks and a FaceTime conversation. Banfield told the police that something was said, and Wortman became infuriated. Much of the notes from the interview were redacted in earlier releases. It was difficult to discern what Banfield actually saw and did. In the ensuing days, weeks, and months, the RCMP have portrayed Banfield entirely as a victim who must be protected. On April 24th, for example, Superintendent Darren Campbell described the woman as a victim of assault. Quote, the victim managed to escape from the gunman and hid overnight in the woods. Leon Jowdry, a forest technician for the Department of Natural Resources, has a very hard time believing that. He is one of the few witnesses to what actually happened in the sparsely populated neighborhood, mainly because he was one of only a handful not murdered by Wortman. Jowdry took Banfield in Banfield at 6:30 in the morning on April 19th after answering a call on his side door. He has said repeatedly to anyone that would listen that he did not at the time, nor does he believe now, her story. See Leon Jowdry in his own words on YouTube. Oh, wow. Okay.
There you go.
I don't like to repeat that. So
Little Gray Cells, taped in October.
Oh, I will repeat that. See Leon Jowdry in his own words on the YouTube channel, Little Gray Cells, taped in October.
Wow. I'm stupefied.
Yeah.
Okay. Picking myself up. Quote, she said she was outside all night, Jowdry said in an interview. It was freezing that night. Clinton Ellison, quote, it was freezing out that night. Clinton Ellison was in the woods for a couple of hours hiding from Wortman, and he was a big man dressed for the cold night, and he had to go to the hospital to be treated for hypothermia. Quote, she said she was out there for 8 hours or so. When she came to my place, she was wearing a spandex top and yoga pants. She had no shoes on. Her makeup was perfect. She said she was in the woods. I live in the woods. Her hands were clean. Her feet were clean. She didn't have a pine needle on her. The woods around here are messy. A rabbit couldn't get through them cleanly. Quote, I didn't believe her story, and I told the police who were there that morning that I didn't believe her. Told them. Quote, continuing, I didn't know what happened, but I think it isn't what she said happened. If Banfield wasn't outside all night, how did she stay warm? Was she with Wortman? Was she with the police? Was she with a neighbor? One of the most curious incidents of that night occurred when a neighbor drove by Frank Gletchen's house, which was on fire. Gletchen and Don Madsen were already dead inside. The neighbor reported that Wortman was sitting in his replica police car, which was parked in the driveway. It was facing a property owned by Bjorn Mersbach, a woodworker. Some suspect Wortman was trying to lure Mersbach out to kill him, or did he know that Banfield was in there and wanted to get her out? In the first days after the shooting, Mersbach was quoted in the media reports as saying that he had a long gun out and was hiding on the other side of the fence, waiting for Wortman to come in. Mersbach has since refused to talk to the media, but has shared his story with others. If it is true, the question remains, quote, how did Mersbach know that Wortman was killing people? Portapic was a woodsy neighbor where gunshots were not unfamiliar. The lots are large and most houses are hidden behind trees or bush. He couldn't possibly see any bodies from his property. Did someone tell him? Was that someone Lisa Banfield? Was Lisa Banfield at his house that night? If she was, it would have only been only a relatively short walk of a few hundred meters from Mersbach's house to Jowdry's, where she showed up at 6:30. The caution interview. Ding, ding, ding. You need like some kind of ding, ding, ding music or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that earlier, as we should have a few sounds like queued up, but
that's too professional.
Too professional. I agree.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to ruin a good thing here. I mean.
On April 28th, Banfield was interviewed again. This time by Staff Sergeant Greg Vardy. A prime focus of the interview was the events from the day before the rampage began. A senior officer considered to be the force's polygraph expert, Vardy notes, say that Banfield described how she and Wortman drove around central Nova Scotia, visiting many locations where he would kill people on his spree over the next 2 days. In the unredacted documents, the event was described as a, quote, caution interview. So those 2 words, eh? Those 2 words. Oh, Steve, what happened to Steve? Did we lose Steve? Under Canadian law, a caution interview is conducted when police suspect that someone may have been involved in criminal activity. A, quote, a caution is issued because you have reasonable and probable grounds to suspect that the person being questioned has done something illegal, said a former executive RCMP officer in an interview. Quote, as soon as the thought rises in your mind that someone has possibly committed a criminal act, the law requires the officer to caution that individual. Halifax defense lawyer Joel Pink said in an interview that in his opinion, a caution is given after a subject has read his or her rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and given standard police warning that whatever the person says may be used against him or her in a court of law. He said cautions are used not necessarily because the police suspect criminality, but, quote, if there is an opportunity or any chance that a person has committed a criminal offense, the police must give them fair warning so that they might have a lawyer present. It is not known if a defense lawyer was at Banfield's side during the interview. When asked if Banfield was accompanied by a lawyer, RCMP spokesperson Derp, I think I still have her picture open. Here we go. Lisa Croteau said such information was privileged. If she was being represented at the time, legal and police sources say that off the record, say off the record, there is a possibility that some kind of a deal was cut between Banfield and investigators. The deal. There we go. Now you're back. I don't understand why you need always multiple things going on there. Which was mentioned this morning by Kendall.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. A possible scenario is that Banfield agreed not to go public with what she knew about Wortman or risk being charged with being an accomplice or an accessory. Ooh. In a response to questions from Frank, RCMP Corporal Croteau, where did she go? Oh, now I've lost her picture. Derp said Banfield was not asked to take a polygraph by Vardy and said there was no deal between the force and Banfield to prevent her from talking to the media. Well, that just looks more bad on her, if that's the case. But I think we all know where that's coming from, RCMP. Banfield has declined all requests for interviews by the media through her Dartmouth lawyer, Peter Rumscheid. Have I got that right? Nova Scotia? Hopefully.
Beats the hell out of me.
You're helpful. I asked Rumscheid 11 pertinent questions about Banfield, her behavior, apparent inconsistencies in her story, and interactions with the RCMP. Quote, either through me or directly, Ms. Banfield is not making any comment or answering any questions from the media, Mr. Rumscheid replied shortly afterward. Sounds kind of like the RCMP. She could get a job there. On the night of, the RCMP seemed strangely complacent about Banfield's whereabouts. The force apparently learned about her possible presence around midnight when Alan, Joanne, and Peter Griffin were evacuated from their homes. In the early mornings hours of April 19th at 1:07, the Truro Police Service logs reported this, quote, Bolo received from RCMP advising of active shooter.
Mm-hmm.
ID Gabriel Wortmans as suspect. IDs some vehicles and girlfriend who is not accounted for. Oh, the vehicle is a bit vague, isn't it? The RCMP didn't know if she had been kidnapped, in danger, or dead, but they also didn't appear to be in much of a hurry to find out which. Why not? The latest revelations, sketchy as they are, failed to give a detailed account for Wortman and Banfield's movement that night. For example, based on police timeline, it appears that the first people killed by Wortman were John Zoll and Elizabeth Joe Thomas, who lived in the south of Wortman's property near the bottom of Portapique Beach Road. The obvious logical questions, therefore: 1, did Wortman kill Zoll and Thomas before setting his fire to his cottage? How did he travel to their property? Was it in the replica RCMP cruiser? Where was Banfield when this happened? 2, did Wortman kill Zoll and Thomas after setting fire to his cottage? If so, where was Banfield? Was she in the car with him, restrained, or otherwise? 3, or did Wortman kill Zoll and Thomas after Banfield escaped to the warehouse? The last scenario is unlikely because that would mean that Wortman would have had to make 3-kilometer round trip past Burning Cottage in order to get back to Orchard Beach Road, where he would then kill Greg and Jamie Blair, Lisa McCauley, Frank Lutchen, Don Madsen, and Corey Ellison. In recently released unredacted materials, the only other person who appears to have been interviewed under caution was Peter Griffin, a neighbor and convicted drug trafficker who helped Wortman apply RCMP decals to a former police vehicle. Notes from the interviews with Peter Griffin show that on April 27th, he told RCMP Corporal Ken Parsons that he knew Wortman very well, but that he had not put the decals on the fake police car Wortman used during his killing spree. Quote, as far as he knows, Gabriel did the decaling himself, the entry reads. The next week, Griffin provided a caution statement on May 4th to another RCMP constable. This time, Griffin admitted that he printed out the decals and knew that they were being used on the fake police car. He also admitted making the fake numbers. Griffin, who was on parole for being convicted of drug offenses and imprisoned in Alberta, originally lied to the RCMP about decals, but was never charged with any offenses. His parole was revoked by Correctional Service Canada. However, he was sent to nearby Spring Hill Penitentiary, where he was there only a few hours because of a conflict. Ooh.
Go figure.
Conflict. One of those victims in Wortman's rampage was guard Sean McLeod, Griffin's cousin, who worked at Spring Hill, as did McLeod's brother Scott. Griffin was transferred to an institution in New Brunswick, where he was briefly incarcerated. He was back in Portapique Beach shortly afterwards. Quote, not charging him means that there is no file. So it says a serving RCMP officer. No file means that they don't have to disclose anything. That's what they're up to, not a victim at all. Sorry. So yes, I mean, you know, if these people don't get tried, there will be no defense. If there's no defense, there'll be no questions. Not a victim at all. The matter in which investigators have handled Banfield and Griffin is the opposite of which the RCMP did in the investigation into the murder of 4 Mounties at Mayerthorpe, Alberta, in 2005. In that case, the 4 spent 2 years hunting down two acquaintances of killer James Roscoe. Their crime was having lent Roscoe a gun and giving him a ride to the scene of a crime, unaware of what he intended ultimately to do. Sean Hennessy and Dennis Cheeseman were sentenced to 15 and 12 years, respectively. That was a crazy Mr. Big. Others in legal circles and law enforcement are bothered by the notion that Banfield, having claimed to be a victim of domestic violence, has been immediately treated as innocent, apparently not without much supporting evidence. They are mindful that in Canada's most notorious cases, police employed the same faulty logic when a pretty blonde woman showed up in February 1992. Ooh, isn't that spooky? That was mentioned this morning. St. Catharines, Ontario police station, sporting a black eye that she said she had gotten from her boyfriend. Niagara Regional Police detectives immediately cut her an immunity deal before finding out later that there was more to the Paul Bernardo story and her murderous role in it than Carla Homolka was volunteering to tell. Not naming people.
Seems like history's repeating itself.
Yes. They don't learn. The RCMP have a habit of that, right? Not naming people and hiding behind notions of privacy and political concerns does not make for sound public policy, says Robert Pinio, a Halifax lawyer representing the families, who has made a similar argument before the courts in the matter. Quote, the process must be transparent. There must be no favoritism for anyone, especially for what are ultimately political reasons. The cause might be seen to be noble, but ultimately, without such transparency, the police and the government can hide things that shouldn't be hidden. It's not a good thing, Pinio said. Obvious anomalies in the RCMP storyline about Banfields do not sit well with the families of the victims. They have launched a series of class action lawsuits, specifically excluded Banfield as a participant. Quote, she's not a victim as far as we're concerned, said Brian Farrington, one of the active leaders in the group, in an interview. His mother, Dawn Madsen, and stepfather, Ryan Gletchen, were murdered by Wortman. Quote, everything she has said doesn't jive with me. In the first reports, they said that she was handcuffed and got away. In the latest one, There's no mention of handcuffs. It isn't, yes, that's no handcuffs, not restrained, no mention of the back of the car. What's going on here? It just doesn't sit right with me. I totally think she was involved and knew what was going on. The RCMP version of events is not believable. The family's furor towards the woman grew even more when she launched a lawsuit in August to protect her own interest in the Wortman estate, but have been particularly infuriated with her as more and more of the story dribbles out. Constant portrayals of her as a victim, not to mention as a hero. On the cover of Frank 837, we needed a word to rhyme with zero, certainly raise Nick Beaton's ire. Nick, whose wife Kristen, a VON nurse, was murdered along with their unborn child after Wortman shot her on April 19th near Debert, said in an interview that he and other relatives of the victims want to hear Banfield's story from her own mouth under cross-examination. Quote, they have tried to make it out like he was going to kill her, but the police interviews show that Wortman was trying to protect her. Who says, don't slip and gas on the floor if you plan to murder someone? In his view, Wortman's girlfriend is not a victim at all. The victims are those who were killed. Nobody goes to see Gabriel. 6 months after the event, little is known about Banfield, whose identity is still being protected by the RCMP. As reported by Frank, in the days following the rampage, Lisa Diane Banfield grew up in large family in Beaverbank. She's one of 8 kids in Gilbert and Beulah's brood. In 1986, graduate from Sackville High, she worked for a time as a hairdresser and at a bank before settling into a job at Wortman's Dartmouth Denture Clinic. Living with a sister in Dartmouth currently, she bought a new Hyundai in cash in recent months. So you were, I was wrong. Was it $70,000 Hyundai? I couldn't even believe you could find one. Most guys like, no. In a lengthy interview with investigators in June, the killer's father, Paul Wortman, and his wife, Evelyn, speak openly about the killers and his girlfriend. It is material that has never been reported until now. I always wanted to hear more of that 4-hour interview. There's so much that he has. Paul Wortman said Banfield was money hungry and described the denturist clinic as the money bank because money just kept rolling in like water. Lisa Banfield was one of the few topics that Paul Wortman was less expansive about in an interview with Frank less than a week after his son's rampage. But it was clear that the relationship between Banfield and her in-laws was not. Investigator appears to show that neither the Wortmans nor Banfield had much love for each other. Both Wortmans conceded that while their son had considerable emotional issues and was likely an alcoholic, they believed that she had contributed to both his spiral and the rift between them. They believed she suffered from an eating disorder, bulimia, which caused a frustrated Gabriel Wortman not to take her out to restaurants. Maybe, you get skinnier that way.
A lot of people who do a lot of drugs don't tend to eat a lot, do they?
Yeah. You can slip through those, cages and stuff, back of cars.
It's easier, for sure.
You got to keep it skinny. Paul and Evelyn Wortman describe her as being, quote, immature, insecure, a gossip, and jealous. Okay, and we knew about the jealous part for sure. Her behavior was described as being like that of, quote, a 16-year-old adult with security blanket. I don't know what abused women are jealous, but we've already been down that road lots of times. Evelyn told investigators that one of Gabriel Wortman's neighbors in Portapique stated to her that, Quote, nobody goes to see Gabriel when she is there. As much as Wortman was portrayed as controlling and menacing, she was his gatekeeper. He didn't have a cell phone. Everything went through her at her office in Dartmouth. She took the cash. Oh, how the tables turned. Who's controlling? Quote, if you wanted to talk to him, said Halifax contractor Bill Acker, you had to go through her. He showed a reporter his phone. Days before the massacre, he was texting back and forth with Banfield about doing more work on the Portapique properties. I never saw anyone there, Acker said in a recent interview. Quote, they didn't have too many friends. They didn't seem to have many friends. They were almost always there alone. The only visitors they did have were her brother and one of her sisters. Wonder if it's obviously be the same people. James. And when they came, Gabe would go all out. The last time it cost him something like $1,300 for the weekend entertaining her family. That is, that's how it always seemed to go. I thought he was a good guy. He was my friend. I can't believe what happened. I'm still in shock. Wow. Those eyebrows are just something to write home about. I bet you know what they use there for that. It's like, where's it? Sharpie. Look, like, seriously. Look at those.
What's good for the Warrants is good for all.
Yeah.
2017, 2016, and here she is doing her filing. That was the advertisement that you got banned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. I remember you were trying to upload it, and
that was a pain in the ass. Yeah.
Tried to upload it over here. Yeah, they didn't like that advertisement at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Luckily, I think it's still out there.
Yeah, I think it is.
It is, yeah. But you just can't put it on YouTube. Things you can't say on television. I don't know what happened, but I think it isn't what she said happened. Portapique resident Leon Jowdry doesn't believe Lisa Banfield spent the night of April 18th in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
There goes Nick. Things you can't really say on television. Quote, they have tried to make it out like he was going to kill her. Gabriel Wortman murdered Nick Beaton's wife, Kristen, who was pregnant with their unborn child. So you can't blame him for wanting to hear Lisa Banfield's story from her own mouth under cross-examination.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Things you can't say on television. I like these. These are great memes. Things you can't really can't say on television. She isn't a victim as far as we're concerned. Ryan Farrington's mother, Dawn Madsen, and stepfather, Frank Lutchen, was murdered by Gabriel Wortman. Robert Pinio. Lawyer for the families, victims' families, Robert Pinio says, quote, there must be no favoritism for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Without such transparency, the police and the government can hide things they shouldn't that shouldn't be hidden. Is that like that?
That means you can call out anyone, right?
Have you seen this Nova Scotia guy?
Briefly today.
What the hell, man?
That's that's quite the piece.
4 pages.
Looking forward to reading that.
Yeah, and that's 1 week. 1 week exactly after the public appeal for evidence by Martin.
October 15th. Yep, exactly.
Exactly 1 week. Interesting.
No coincidences, guys.
No coincidences. It's
nothing to see here.
It's all about timing, eh?
Way she goes.
I'm sorry, I don't see criminal mastermind. I really don't. But
You mean with Gabe, right?
I just don't see it in his face. But
no pun intended. You don't see it. Yeah, no, I don't see it either.
Convicted drug trafficker Peter Griffin in 2015. He's the fella who lied to RCMP. Well, here we go, the Frank part here. The fella lied to RCMP about applying the decals to Wortman's fake police cars, but was never charged. Quote, not charging him means that there is no file. A serving RCMP officer tells Frank, quote, no file means that they don't have to disclose anything. You can disclose it to the shredder. There's Paul. Is this when he's going to court?
I have to think. I have a feeling that's possibly from Brunswick News.
Yeah, I think this is from the Costco razor stealing incident.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which really never has made sense. Gabriel's parents, Paul and Evelyn Wortman, didn't have much love for their daughter-in-law. They told private investigator that Lisa was, quote, immature, insecure, a gossip, and jealous. Well.
So, on the topic of Paul, he can't be here tonight, but he wanted me to say hi to everybody for tuning in and going
Paul.
through this. So,
cheers.
Anyhow, I'm right there.
Hopefully we can get him on, do an interview after this and follow up. He's got something else in the pipes. Is that correct?
Yeah. There's some stuff in the pipes, according to him, and he's definitely down for another interview shortly. So, oh no, Paul is still fully engaged, more than ever. So, together we'll all keep going, you know.
Turd. Bunkers.
Makes me mad how much information that has been kept.
Has anyone considered that Lisa might be an RCMP, have been the RCMP informant?
Yeah, we have actually.
Certainly.
I'm pretty sure we did say that pretty early on. We thought about the idea. We thought about everything early on, to be honest. We speculated about a lot of things.
I suspect that probably both of them would be at the same time, right? I mean, they were together 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that myself.
Also,
I don't know if she.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Steve. I don't know if she was the CI or part of the CI. But hey, that's been on my mind since day one. So,
I will definitely say, give a plug to Frank because I think this is behind a paywall. Is it? I don't know.
I believe
Hopefully
so.
not.
Yeah.
Is it?
I believe some of it is.
Oh.
But I can't be certain.
If people can go donate to Frank, get a subscription.
That's right. You can go
do things like that because we are pretty lucky to have a guy like Frank, to be honest. He does push. He pushes.
And then gets booted out of RCMP press conference.
which is unfortunate.
Well, and quite frankly, you know, being one of the only publications willing to publish this stuff, you know, the mainstream media has not been that kind, as outlined in Frank's article, of the story and others like it. So, you know, hey, as much as people may give them crap, they're pulling through on this one.
Oh dear is plugging a video of yours. There'll be none of that on this channel. That comment is going to get deleted.
Oh, hey, I got to give a cheers to Seamus here, actually, because I haven't gone live to share this story, but Seamus, you know, kind of helped me get through a week ban that I was on from YouTube, and we won. We beat the ban, people. We beat it. We fucking stuck it to Susan.
Well, I just feel bad when you told me that Mark took it.
Yeah, I think he may have gotten actually a 2-week ban, which is kind of a little funny, a little bit, I guess. It's unfortunate.
So, what news do you have, Nova Scotia guy? What great insights do you have for us?
Oh, wow. Put me on the spot. Based on the article, you know, and stuff that's gone on, personally, I feel this is just a big smokescreen. You know, I don't have a feeling that anybody's going to go to jail or face any severe punishment of those charges. And I mean, to be completely honest, you know, another inside job. You know, I thought a lot about Mr. Big, Mayor Thorpe in particular. So I'll be honest with you, my head's sort of swimming right now.
Is that from the article?
Not necessarily, no.
Come on, man. You want
but you know, the developments today. You know, it's not the first time I read that article. But with the developments today, it alarms me, puts me sort of in that mindset of Mayor Thorpe, basically, you know, for lack of a better term, you know, looking as though they're penning it on a few people. And more importantly than the Mayor Thorpe ordeal, you know, it's quite clear that they were cooperating with the RCMP, and I think that's bad news all around, and everybody should, you know, have their spotty senses on high. Right? We've seen a lot of stuff that's happened over the last few months, and stuff that seems to continue to happen once certain things get out, regardless of how receptive they are from the media. But yeah, you know, I think my advice to anybody, it would be to take this, you know, very cautionary and look a little deeper, you know, than what's going on.
Well, you were a really integral part of that.
Well, that's, you know, I mean, that could be up for debate.
Am I doxing you by saying that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. No, that's fine. But a lot of people in this, right? Discord, big time. You guys, the select media outlets that have chosen to take this on.
Who's that?
So,
Mhm.
well,
I'd like to say support them. I just threw in there Frank magazine, and there's links down below for the other YouTubers who are hard at work at this. But I'd be curious to know who in the mainstream media is really trying to tell the truth, other than Paul and Frank and National Post a little bit here. So.
well, and that's I think you've got it outlined pretty good. It
almost feels like the media is just waiting for the RCMP to say something.
Well, seems like they love to be spoon-fed, right? In my opinion, there's not enough people going out and really investigating the dirt, right? And to those of us that are, just keep going, right? That's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
to me it seems too this angle has just gotten bigger too with what has been released about Lisa. Like, I feel like there's much more digging to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think there's a lot more digging to do there. There's a lot more digging to do in other places, especially within the RCMP organization. There was a lady on Rick Howe today that called in during the open hour by the name of Nova, and said she had her dentures done by Gabriel in 1994, and he was extremely odd. And she asked him a question about, do you drink and things like that? And his reply was, oh, I drink a lot, but I only drink with Mounties. So, I think, these tidbits that have been coming out in and there, here and there, really need to be followed up. And we need to have people that, have any knowledge of this type of stuff to sort of come out of the woodwork and contact me or Seamus or Steve or Paul or any of, us that are working on this case. There's still a lot more out there, I believe. And, we're getting there, but we need everybody's help to point us in the right directions and give us some info,
Yeah, especially for us Albertans.
absolutely. Tara did a really big plea today, and I hope that those people who are sitting on the fence heard that.
I saw that today too. Yeah.
We're lucky.
And I hope the same thing, let's help victims, let's help the family members. That's what it's about at the end of the day. It's nothing more than that, So anybody who's on the fence, please come over. Please, please let us know what you know or what you think or whatever. Nothing's too small.
Rage is here. I wonder if we can get him in.
Yeah.
You want to send him the link?
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
All right. I'll send it to him.
Absolutely. Today's been a really great day, eh? Got everybody. Tara, yourself, ×2, which is vomit. Okay. We've got Nova Scotia guy. We've got Rage. Wow. Adrian, good day. It's like the stars are kind of lining up here a little bit. A little bit. I do hope that people will subscribe to you want to do on the phone? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, phone. I'm going to go check on my kids. I'll be right back. Being the worst dad of the world right now, actually.
My God, man. You're like the biggest, greatest dad of all time. I swear. Well, I can't really say that, though, because there's lots of other dads, right? Out there.
Yeah, take it easy.
Well, come on, man. All right, let me see here. I got to pull up his number on the Dumbo phone. Here we go. Oh, yeah. You see, because
phone's a bit of a flipper.
Yeah, the burners. No, I'm sure Gabe didn't have any of these. No.
Imagine.
Is that coming through?
I hear it.
Howdy.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Here's Cage.
Is he there?
I hear Cage.
How's that? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Hello?
What is going on here?
I'm just fucking with you, man.
Yeah, okay. I've got the computer turned off for a second here.
Yeah, stop. Leave alone.
Until I can get these headphones working so I can hear what everybody's saying.
So what's your take on today's articles? And okay, that sounds terrible.
So what's your take on today's article?
Okay, caller, mute your YouTube, please. Caller.
Check. What? Yeah, what?
I just got in here a few minutes ago, and I just got you guys on, so
Cheers, Cage.
I can't hear what anybody else is saying. Just you on the phone here.
Oh, you can't hear? Okay, here. I'll do this.
Cheers, Cage.
I work for the RCMP.
If I have the sound on the computer on, then I get a huge echo, right?
Sorry? What?
I said if I turn on the sound for YouTube, then I get a huge echo.
Yep.
Sorry?
Just like that. That's you saying the same thing over and over.
Sorry.
Soy.
Yeah, there's a lot of information petering out now.
Well, I mean, I caught a little bit. I was starting to watch the one that you guys did earlier today, where they finally did talk about Lisa Banfield, and I even named the brothers. And then I was starting to watch that, and then I seen that you guys were on live, so then I hopped over. So yeah, I'm just playing catch up on all of it, but.
Well, it was a bit of a. It was a big day, but I think there's more to come, and I'm hearing that there's more coming down the line here to do with Lisa at the end of the month. Well, between now and the end of the month. Or so Birdie says.
Present.
Yeah. You're not allowed to have Christmas, though.
Yeah.
That's against Kovus.
That's it's interesting that they are bringing this out now. Months late, of course. There's still a lot of information that, I mean, again, I haven't watched what you guys have done today or heard anything on the news but it's about time that more got out. I saw on the earlier video, and I didn't get to the spot where you had Tara on, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, again, we're here because of Tara, and of course now the rest of the family. So, with what's going on, your take, because again, I'm just coming in cold here, but the information that's being released and some of the things that are being said now, is there actual charges against Lisa and her brothers?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I'm waiting for other people to answer. I don't have to say things.
Yeah. I was nodding.
Yeah, I believe the charge is...
you can't hear us anyways, though.
Unauthorized transport of ammunition or something like that.
Oh, yes, I did catch that part, too. Right. Okay, yeah, because they were saying that she took him ammunition 1 month before, and then the Saturday, then on the 18th when this all started, that she had taken him more.
Right. And also, through going through the warrants myself today, in the latest one, the email that was supposedly sent, that was outlined in the media, of something along the lines ended with "Thank God we are well armed." Nobody was prepared. Was apparently sent on March 17th or 18th. So I have a feeling, obviously that something's at play there.
Yeah, that article is, I'm still trying to figure that one out, because I would have figured the RCMP would want her to disappear. So why is she getting charged? Equally, on top of that, why is the brother-in-law and brother getting charged? Because now you've got two men. So
What's
I think
the potential deal they struck too?
Sorry?
What's the potential deal that they struck? Like Paul was saying.
Exactly, Steve.
Makes you wonder.
That
would have to be something pretty fucking big.
Some of the members that made mistakes that night. Here's the thing too. So she obviously had a valid purchase and acquisition license so that she could buy this ammunition, or did she get it illegally? What's the take on that? Or was it one of the brothers? Like, where do their charges come in?
Their family's
so
it was trafficked illegally.
Her family's pretty colorful, though, right?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Okay.
According to the report, it was purchased and trafficked illegally. Purchased in Nova Scotia.
Purchased illegally?
Purchased in Nova Scotia illegally and transported illegally. No, illegally.
Illegally.
Well, yeah. As soon as you purchase the ammunition with the intent of giving it to somebody, you've broken the law. So, anybody that let's say that.
Exactly. Yep.
When did she buy this?
Let's just not go down any rabbits with it. The bottom line is that her name is out there finally, fully, and there are charges. So there's more investigation. But now, is this investigation, are they going to be able to say, well, we can't say there's an ongoing investigation? Are they going to pull that one, or have they already?
Seems like they've already started a little bit.
Are they going to start pushing this side of the story to deflect other mistakes? And because I see on the last couple of videos you did, and even people phoning into the talk show down there in Nova Scotia on the radio, that people are really pushing the fact that the RCMP and the CBC gave misinformation on the fire hall, saying that it was a cruiser when in fact it was some kind of civilian vehicle, and that doesn't sound like any kind of civilian vehicle that the RCMP uses except for undercover stuff. The other thing that as soon as I heard the description of the vehicle, even way back when, it's just far too similar to the vehicle that we all saw driving past the truck stop heading to the gas station where it all ended. Apparently, there's just too many similarities, So who did jump out at the fire hall and start shooting? Who were those two people in uniform? Because Wortman was in uniform that day.
Are you off, Steve?
Yeah, I got to take off. I got to go put the kids in the bath and do bedtime and all that.
All right. Well, if we're still going, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
Right.
Cheers.
Okay, Steve. Good to see you, brother.
Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm playing chess in my mind. I always play chess with this stuff. What are they doing? There's something. Because even just make it go away is way better for them. I mean, now the cat's out of the bag, but.
Well, I think they took a shot at that today.
A Nova Scotia guy, what about with with the lawsuits and the different things that are going on? Again, is this a partial attempt at deflection, or?
To me, in my honest opinion, I believe this is sort of a splash in the water. This is to give the general public something to look at, but I believe there's way more going on under the surface. I believe this is, in my opinion, likely more of a immunity deal.
Right.
And possibly to come off publicly as sort of, the whole Mayor Thorpe thing. Let's find a couple people to pin it on, right? They win, we win. So, I'm extremely suspect. Let's leave it at that. So more suspect than I've even been since this all started.
I've heard about some photographs. Have you heard anything about that? Of Lisa?
No. What are we talking about? Photographs of Lisa?
Have you heard anything about it? Nova Scotia?
Briefly. I don't think I'm in a position to comment any further, but
okay.
I can tell you I have not seen anything personally. But, there's been rumblings.
Okay.
Not only Lisa, other people, Gabriel. So no, I'd be lying if I said I have any direct knowledge and have seen such.
But you've heard something about it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. I never know what's safe territory to go into or not, but I mean the fact that this woman should be a gigantic red flag, aside from what happened on that evening and stuff, is that she never spoke to any of the family members right away. Should have been a huge red flag. I mean, if something terrible went down and she was a victim in that, one would think that she would go and commiserate and group with the families.
Yeah, join up for support kind of thing.
Yeah, and try to explain to them at least what she knows. But sitting in the background is so odd.
Well, it's not helping anybody, you know. And then I heard a lot of talk today online about, how dare they go after a domestic abuse victim with this. But realize there's 23 victims, just in death. So let's weigh our options, right? There's a time to be sensitive, but we need some real answers for those families, so let's
Caller, mute your television, please. Do you have any comment on that story that came out of Halifax in the prison? What is it, Saoirse or what? Saoirse, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to remind me of that.
So there was a lady who was a domestic. I played a clip of the
Right.
of McNeil the other night. Horrendous that he's sitting up there and crying and saying that this was the worst thing he's ever dealt with. This case, which was, or domestic violence in general, when he's got 23 unsolved homicides, worst mass murder in Canadian history. There was a woman who, and I'm not going to be judgmental on her, but, just to give fair background, she has some issues with substances and was apparently in an abusive relationship and was going to testify against her significant other. And rather than go and testify, she wanted to work herself up to going to court by getting very intoxicated. And then I guess the police came by and something must have ensued, and she was arrested. But then they kind of turned that around and said, oh, the abuse victim who is getting arrested for not testifying in an abuse case. And I thought, well, goodness me, oh my. I mean, and then you're going to have McNeil up there crying about it. It seemed like they're trying to sew the story like this is why she can't come in and testify.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with what happened, just generally through the media and that. But other than that,
Al Jones is behind her.
Yeah, and I mean, be whatever the case may be, I don't think I can comment on it. I just don't know enough about it.
Am I being a bad man right now for saying that?
No, not at all.
Comment on that case because it's a woman.
No, not at all. I just, to be honest, I don't know. I've only read about it like very briefly, and I don't think I can offer a real good opinion on that directly.
Steve says Bjorn needs to be more vocal.
Yeah, Bjorn's not exactly receptive to speaking. I can say that for certain. So if anybody out there, maybe knows what's going on or knows Bjorn personally, maybe they can get in touch.
This is a deep story.
Well, and I mean, there's more details going to come out too. I mean, now that they've got her on this and everything else, I mean, as it goes to preliminaries and all that, I mean, she's going to have her day in court, and there'll be portions of that transcript that'll we'll be able to hear from things that are said, some of that kind of stuff, and then as that goes on, but that's still months and months away. I mean, the other thing about it was mentioned in the chat a little bit, I think, and I think Nova Scotia guy alluded to it, is that now that she's officially under charges, hush hush, right? We can't, like I said, ongoing investigation now. It's so does it again? Is this just a smokescreen to give the public something? To look over here, and like he said, like Nova Scotia guy said, there's a lot going on, as we know, as we expect with this investigation, and we're just not hearing about it. And I mean, bringing her in now officially by name, and that. Could bring more of the truth out, but only time will tell, kind of thing. I just hope it doesn't put a delay into things for finding out more of the information and more of the truth, because the families do need more than they're being told. They need more information, all of it. And, this time of the year, coming into the Christmas season with everything going on with the COVID and the shutdowns and all the other travesties around the planet and everything else, and here's this. I mean, I just wish there could be some kind of I don't know if you can use the word. I don't know if you can say good news, but positive, something positive for the families, something. And maybe someone will look upon this as okay. It's a step forward, So I mean, hopefully that could be a positive take on it.
Yeah, I think Kage. I thought about that myself today. I'll be honest. Right off the hop, once I found out about what the charges were, etc., I was a little disappointed. But I sort of started, as I told Paula today, looking for a bit of a silver lining. And you know what? Even just in the last hours, in light of, these charges, regardless of how we may feel they are, brings us back into the spotlight. And it gets this back on people's mind again. And, the more ammo we can get to follow, the more we're gonna get this back into people's minds and not let anybody forget about it. The last few months through the media have been sort of tough. But I think, on the positive side, I think today was a breakthrough. Regardless, it gave us some names, it gave context, and I think this will, produce good things, at the end of the day. So
Somebody must have some dirt. I'm thinking somebody must have something. And this is why they had to do it. They were forced into a corner.
Well, that's very possible. I mean, somebody brought up Bjorn. There's a couple other family members and people and neighbors in Portapique and the area that, have had things to say about this, and there is pressure getting put on. So, as more people do start looking into this and thinking, okay, well, what did happen with that? Where is it going? and then all of a sudden it's like, well, remember this, remember that, and that's how the truth comes out. Is more people talk and bring stuff forward, and pretty soon, the RCMP and the investigators and CERT and everybody else that's involved in this have to make a step. They have to do something because yes, the pressure's on.
Exactly. Yeah. So, the more questions, the better. Let's keep them coming. This is the tip of the iceberg. I think media is a little, hopefully are going to become a little bit more comfortable in publishing things. And you know what? Let's get people's attention. We've all worked for several months, a lot of hours, on this, and let's, I want us to give those families justice, so.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the things that I want to see, and I'm sure, it's been talked about in the videos and everything, but again, and Paul brought it up in his radio interview, was, look at all the mistakes that were made that night by the RCMP, and look at the things that weren't done, not the things that were done as much as the things that weren't done, the mistakes that were made, the things that were overlooked, the screw up with radio traffic, the fact that, neighboring police forces and even neighboring detachments were told that, no, we don't need you to stand down, and then bring people in from another province. And again, they could have and should have had this thing contained in Portapique, and he should have never got out talking about the road in the blueberry field and everything else. I mean, back in the day, when RCMP knew their area, and they were part of the local community, they knew about these roads, they knew about these side roads. I mean, we had a place we partied when we were kids, called Broken Glass, and there was a couple other places that, you used to go to get away, and they knew exactly where you were. They found you every time. So how come that didn't happen on April the 18th of 2020, right? Why was that glaring mistake made?
Contract policing, that's it. You nailed it. You nailed it, Kage. That's it.
I mean, I look at all the other people that died outside of Portapique, and the other thing too is this policy of what do they call it, Seamus, now? This new policy of bullshit the RCMP has that just stand down and not do anything.
Oh yes. What is that for?
Right.
As a result of the monks?
Since Moncton, yes.
Yeah.
Extreme liability, basically.
I can't
Well,
remember.
what the hell is it called? I can't remember. I can't remember the term they're using, but it's opposite of what a member of the RCMP is supposed to do. You don't run away like a coward and hide in the bush. You man up or woman up and you get in there and do your job and save people's lives. And Marathorpe was bad enough. Moncton was a system of errors, and now this. They lost a police officer, but should never have had they stopped this in the 2 to 3 small roads they had to deal with right at the initial incident. It's just for me in all of this, that is the biggest one. The second one is the fire hall. And who the hell was that shooting? And why haven't those, if it was police officers that did that, why haven't we heard their names? Why are they not up on charges? Why doesn't everybody in the country know who they are and can say, what the hell was that?
There's
another big one that leads to losing that lady police officer in Shuby, and the other people, after that. But what the hell was going on there? Seriously, what was going on there? That just this whole thing. You look at everything that happened right from the first moment, and every time a new victim shows up or a new incident shows up, I mean, it's a forehead slapper. It's a pure forehead slapper. Like, what the hell is that? You can't write plot twists like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. An officer gets shot apparently, and takes off to a EHS station. To possibly leave another colleague to die. Truro Police not called, no neighboring agencies called, which just points back to the confidential informant manual, right? The only time that's to happen is if it's a CI gone bad. So, yeah, plenty of questions, to say the least. So.
What did you guys think of the comment by the RCMP that Vardy? That kind of caught my eye. That Vardy didn't ever run a polygraph with Lisa, and there was no deal from her talking to the media. I find that very hard to believe that they would bring Vardy in.
That sounds to me like a lie to not have to tell the lie.
Well, I think we just need to go back to the manual. Right?
Perhaps Vardy could use the lie detector on Campbell and things.
Yeah. Oh, that first idiot. What was his name? The one that was scared to death in front of the camera.
Leather. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd shake like a leaf.
I mean, that guy, right in the first two press conferences. I mean, the look on his face told it all. He knew all of these things that weren't supposed to get out, and even he was like, "Okay, what are we doing with this? How do we fix this?" You could tell. You could tell right off the bat. Like, it's one thing when you see a press conference and a police chief or a sheriff or a commander in the RCMP or somebody like that, a law enforcement. When you see these bad incidents that happen where a lot of people are killed or they lose an officer or whatever it is, they have a look on their face. They're hurt. They're sorrowful. They're angry. Whatever it may be. You don't normally see those people scared to death. And Leather, for those first 2 or 3 news conferences, was scared to death.
Yeah, he was definitely uncomfortable. That's,
And he was the man in charge that night before it got kicked up.
Well, I don't even think we need to go into the emails. 2
hours?
This was meant to be totally contained.
Well, he's actually fast.
Don't let anybody forget that. You deny help from neighboring police agencies. From what I can see, they did not exhaust all the resources in Nova Scotia before calling New Brunswick. This is all, for lack of a better word, this smells like complete shit.
Well, did they even use any resources?
I believe they did use some, but possibly not all. Definitely not municipal police agencies. So, just leaves more questions, guys. What the hell was going on?
What time was that call today on the radio?
I would say right around noon.
Okay.
I'll find out for you guys and let everybody know. That was some funny stuff.
Did somebody record that, or yeah? I'll go.
I don't believe so. I just happened to catch it live. So, but I'm sure we'll be able to. Somebody will be able to out there. Please. We'll.
What radio station was it on? Are you going to be able to archive it and go onto their website and pull it up there?
I don't.
Yeah.
Think so.
It was on the Rick Howe show. Today it was around the top of, I believe, possibly it was either the 11 or 12 o'clock hour, whatever hour the open hour was on. So if everybody gets a chance, try and take a look at that. It was pretty interesting, and so yeah.
Do you have any news of anything to come from Paul, or whether he's going to be on Rick Howe or?
No, immediately no. No, I can't say for now. But hopefully soon. I have a feeling something will come out soon with all the things that are going on right now. And I'm sure you guys and everybody else will be keeping their ears peeled, right? But yeah, so hopefully in the next week or two, or we'll see. Keep your eyes on McLean's as well.
Yeah.
There should be something there dropping soon, and should be a good read for people, and hopefully ruffle some feathers and bring some people out of the woodwork that might have not felt comfortable before. So,
well, I appreciate you joining us very much, Nova Scotia Guy and Kage, and earlier Steve. Lots to chew on here.
Absolutely, yeah.
What I was doing before I came in, and I'll actually go back and watch the videos from today and try and catch up a little bit more, and then we'll see what the coming days bring. I mean, today, we're going into Saturday, so again they do this on a Friday, right? So we'll have to wait for a couple days until things pick up again, and then there'll be hopefully more information coming out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sort of thing. But again, I just hope that this is a step forward for the families and for the people that really need to get the answers. So,
yeah,
we'll talk to you guys soon. Okay. Cheers.
All right. You take good care.
Yeah. Good night.
All
right. Well, thanks so much. Do you have anything to add before I love this?
Well, no, nothing really. Just to thank everybody, for watching, tuning in, keeping this at the top of their mind. At the end of the day, this is all about the 23 victims in particular, and other victims. So if anybody has anything that might be of value, let Seamus or I or Kage or Steve or Tara or Paul, anybody know, So just want to send much love to everybody out there, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Keep on trucking.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Thanks, everybody. God bless.